So glad that you've come tonight. Thank you so much for coming. This is the 13th annual Earth Day celebration that we're having tonight. It's on Earth Day. That happened on, I think, the 8th Earth Day celebration. So, yeah, thanks for coming. At your table, you have napkins that were made by our team. And those, you can throw them in the air, show them off a little bit. Those are really sweet. Those are for yours to take home. So, yeah, a gift from Team Lorax. So this is a mini summit kickoff that we're doing tonight here for moving us forward, a call to action. And we want to, I said my name, Mary Jo Cristoforo. Carla Hansen, where is that shy woman? There she is. Give her a huge hand. She is the glue to all of this, I'm telling you. Yeah, Carla, thank you so much. We have a great night planned for you tonight, and this is such a sweet and cozy spot that we have. Thanks to Chuck and his staff for opening the house tonight. Yeah. So it's been a long time since we've been together, and you know, with COVID, numbers are kind of rising in Northfield. So please keep your masks on if you're not eating and drinking. Thanks for doing that. Bathrooms, women are on this side, men are on this side. So, or if you want to switch, I don't know, wherever you want to go. Appetizers are out in the foyer. Help yourself to a drink tonight. Composting is happening, so if you have leftovers, there's a composting bin in the front. This is literally a zero waste event tonight, so thank you for that support for our zero waste team. And yeah. And if you need anything at all, Team Lorax, I love to call the Earth Day team Team Lorax, please stand, because I'm going to recognize them, and you need to know who they are, because if you need anything, just reach out to any one of these amazing people that put this thing on. Yeah, thank you. So, and then also the Greater Northfield Sustainability Collaborative, folks from that group stand as well, because they've been helping out a lot from this event tonight. So thank you so much for that. Yes, and so before I pass the mic to Martha, because we're going to get started with our speakers, yes, yes. Claudia's so sweet. Before I pass the mic to Martha, who's going to introduce Cole and all of our speakers, I want to bring your attention to the flyers that are on your table. And so on your table, if you could lift them up, this is something new at Earth Day this year. We are super excited to be partnering with lots of different organizations that actually need your help. And so we hope that on those projects that are happening throughout the year, they are displayed at these tables, as you can see right along the edge here. And there'll be a time at the end tonight where you can kind of peruse all of that and check out what they're offering for you to be inspired and be engaged in our community. So thank you for your willingness to do that. So where did Martha go? I am introducing Martha right now, who has been an amazing climate champion for our town, and absolutely the most brilliant woman I've ever met. So come on up, girl.
And before she goes too far, let's give a big hand to Mary Jo, the mastermind. Thank you, Mary Jo. We're going to begin tonight with a very, very special introduction. We have a new member of the team at the City of Northfield, someone who will be very instrumental in taking all the momentum that we've had so far on our climate action plan and our sustainability initiatives and carrying it forward. So I also want to say that this person will be introduced by Cole Johnson, who graciously stepped into big shoes to fill in for Beth Kalstad and really carry the torch of sustainability during this transition. So Cole, please come up and introduce Reese.
Hello everyone, my name's Cole Johnson. I've been working with this
Is it too low?
Mic check.
All right, there we go, Cole.
Like I said, hello everyone. I want to thank the Earth Day group for putting on this great event and for all the events that they've done in the past here in Northfield. I'm the water quality technician for the city of Northfield. I've also been serving as the interim staff liaison for the Environmental Quality Commission. Like Martha said, I'm here to introduce Reese, but before I do that, I would like to encourage all of you to stop back by the TV booth over there and consider adopting a catch basin. We've been running this program for about a year now, and we have, I think, 100 catch basins adopted throughout the community. It's a great program to essentially give people a look into where the stormwater goes and just provide stormwater education for residents throughout the community. So without further ado, I will introduce Reese Kareem, the new assistant to the city administrator. Please welcome Reese.
Hi, everyone. If you're a woman, you understand the struggle of your mask getting caught in your earrings as you're trying to take them off, so just bear with me. I'm really excited to be here with you guys tonight and to be in the city. I've been with the city for about a month now. I came from the city of Edina, where I was the city management fellow, and I worked directly with our city manager on special projects that included energy benchmarking, things for the county, and just other sustainability related items. I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited for some of the changes. Change can be uncomfortable, that's fine. We're still gonna push, we're still gonna try to make Northfield the best and as sustainable as we can for the future and some of the climate ready for the future. I'll be at Earth Day tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to kind of getting around to mingle with some of you. Hopefully stop by our table. The city will have a table. I've got some LED kits if anyone's looking to transition their home and things like that. A full kit, looking to get rid of those. But I'm really eager to push some of our climate action steps, initiatives forward. We've got about until 2030 or 24 to be 100% carbon emission free. I really do want to uphold that and meet those standards, and I really do think this is a community that can do that if we work together. We pitch in where everyone is needed, and I don't know what else to say, but hopefully I get to talk to you all. I'm really excited to be here. And do you guys want to know about my educational background? I feel like some people can. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
I am not a Minnesotan. I'm not originally from here. I will have been here for about 2 years in June. So I moved here in June of 2020 for my position that I had in Edina. I'm originally from Oklahoma. I went to Oklahoma State University and got my bachelor's in political science, and I double minored in sociology and law and legal study. I thought I was going to law school, quickly diverted from that, and went to the University of Kansas and got my master's in public policy and public administration with a focus on local government and sustainability. And now I'm here. So I'm excited. So thank you all for allowing me to come in and just introduce myself, meet you, and I'm excited. So nice to meet you guys.
Thank you, Cole and Reese, and thanks for carrying the torch here with all of our momentum. So tonight we have a very special panel of speakers because we'll be hearing about things at the state level and things at the city level and some of the activism and the movements that have been happening with Northfield citizens here. And so we're going to kick it off with the 10,000-foot view. I'd like to introduce Representative Todd Lippert, who has been representing Northfield and our area very, very strongly in the Minnesota State Legislature. He's on a number of committees that have to do with agriculture, that have to do with environment, that have to do with climate policies. And I want us to give him a warm welcome as he summarizes for us some of the very exciting things happening at the state level tonight. Thanks, Todd.
Hi, everybody. It's so great to see you. Recognize so many familiar eyes and foreheads. So good to be in this room with all of you. So I'm the state representative for the Northfield area, and in my second term, and it's been an honor, absolute honor to serve. And I just want to talk a little bit about what's happening with climate at the legislature. And the first thing I want to say is that we have some amazing climate champions in the House. And many of them have Northfield connections. I'll say a little bit more about that. But I would hold our leadership and our vision up with any other state in the country. And I've had a chance to talk with some climate leaders in California and Washington and Oregon. And I know the policy and vision that my colleagues are putting forward is as aggressive on climate as anyone in the country. The challenge is that we are one of two states with a divided legislature. And so when it gets to be this time in the session, the fourth quarter, you might say, we got 1 month left, we have to be negotiating with Senate Republicans who either don't believe that climate change is a thing or can't admit it because of the political ramifications for them. And so that makes making any sort of progress very, very difficult. But I'm a proud member of the House Climate Action Caucus, and we have a House Climate Action Plan for our state that's following IPCC goals. And we know we need to do 4 basic things. We need to accelerate the clean energy transition, and we need to make sure there's a just transition. Our climate and energy chair, Jamie Long, who graduated from Carleton, is outstanding. And one thing that he said at the end of our Climate and Energy Committee meeting as we were putting our budget bill together, he said, the climate and energy the clean energy transition is underway. Solar and wind are now the cheapest forms of energy. There's a utility that tried to sell a coal plant and they just simply couldn't do it. No one wants to buy it because the economics don't pencil out anymore. That transition is underway. The question is this going to happen fast enough? And is it going to be just? And I would tell you that the bill we put forward in the House DFL is both. It's moving quickly and it's focused on a just transition as well. We know we need to electrify the transportation system, and we need to do that as quickly as possible. And our chair, Frank Hornstein, is outstanding and is very focused on that. Now, he went to McAllister, but he still really likes Northfield. We know we need to be reducing emissions in the built environment. We need to be making sure our buildings, our homes are as efficient as possible and doing that very, very quickly. And our capital investment chair, Fu Lee, who's a Carleton grad, a recent Carleton grad actually, he's very clear that the capital investment bill needs to be a climate and equity bill and has a very, just a very exciting vision related to that. And so it's really exciting to work with him. And then the fourth thing we know we need to do is we need to be managing our lands with climate in mind. And that's a space that David Bly, my predecessor, worked in. It's a space that I've been privileged to step into, and so I have deep interest there. I'm learning a lot in a hurry. And then I'm also excited, watching over all things is Christy Purcell, who's running for my seat. I've been telling folks at the legislature, I have interest in this area. Christy has expertise in this area, and I'm really excited to see what she'll be able to do in this space in the legislature. But we know that, according to a study by the Nature Conservancy, if we were managing landscapes with climate in mind across the country, it could have as much impact as taking every vehicle off the road. And Minnesota has as much potential as virtually any state in the country. So this is about planting trees, soil health practices that both make our landscapes, our farmland more resilient, and some of those practices sequester carbon. Protecting and restoring wetlands, and especially peatlands, which I'm learning a lot more about. We have more peatlands than most places, not just in the country, but in the world. And peatlands are especially important for climate change. If they dry out, they emit a tremendous amount of carbon. And if they are protected, they will sequester a tremendous amount of carbon. So we know these are the things we need to do, and we can do them. Here are some things that are moving. And actually, some of the areas where I work, there's some potential because it's not just about climate. People see other benefits too, and so we can get Republicans on board a little bit more. I have a bill I've been working with Chair Hansen of the Environment Committee on this, for planting a tree for every Minnesotan in each of the next 4 years. So 5.7 million trees in each of the next 4 years. And we have $19 million in the environment bill for that. A big portion of that is for replacing trees lost to emerald ash borer for communities in southern Minnesota, and start planning for the ash trees we're going to lose in northern Minnesota before too long. But this is work that's been delayed for a long time. It's exciting to see it going. And I've been working with Senator Senjum on that. And I asked him just recently, have you been making any progress on it? And he said, well, Senator Ingebrigtsen's calling me Johnny Appleseed, and I've been sending him poems to read to his grandchildren about trees. So, you know, I'm hopeful. I was like, well, keep up the good work on that. Soil health is another big area where I'm hopeful we can make some progress. We have $12 million or so in the agriculture bill, another 15 in the environment bill. Farmers are excited to put these practices on the landscape, but they need some financial support to make it happen. Another very exciting thing, if you've heard about continuous living cover crops like Kernza, winter pennycress, we have some money for commercialization for those crops, and we have some Northfield leaders in the Kernza space, and so this is really exciting. We could be scaling these crops up across the upper Midwest and really shifting agricultural systems, so that's exciting. Yeah, we can cheer about that a little bit. And Rahi's been hard at work in that space too. We had lots of meetings with him. Solar on schools, we hope we can make some more big progress there this session. And then one final piece I'll mention is I've been working on this for a while. It's called the Innovative Finance Authority. It's essentially a green bank. It'd be a finance institution that can help accelerate more deployment of clean energy projects and other climate mitigation projects. And we're trying to get this in a form that can get some traction in both bodies. So there's a lot of work happening right now. We're doing as much as we can in the environment that we're in, but there's really strong leadership at the Capitol on climate. And then we're going to do everything these next 4 weeks, and then we all need to work together to create a different environment at the Capitol. Do you hear what I'm saying? Yes. Yeah? So that we can make the progress that we need to. Not tomorrow, but right now. Okay? So happy Earth Day. It's great to be with you, and let's keep up the work.
Thank you so much, Todd, for those inspiring words. It's good to know such big things are happening at the Capitol. And again, don't forget that Christy Purcell is up there trying to continue this good work for Todd. So get out the beat for Christy. Next, we're going to take a city view. And I'm just it's so heartwarming to introduce someone who I've been working with for over 10 years in Northfield, and the Energy Friends, on the Climate Action Plan Advisory Board. This person has dedicated decades to environmental movements and efforts and initiatives in Northfield. And Bruce Anderson is now the former chair of the Environmental Quality Commission. Bruce is still on the commission, still doing very good work, and he will give us a little summary of what's happening at the city level in Northfield. Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you so much, Martha, and it's heartening to see you all here. Thank you so much for coming out tonight, and it's really an honor to take the stage after Representative Lippert and the inspiring words he had to say about what's happening at the state level. And I can't stress how important it is that that political environment be changed at the state and federal level, because I'll be talking very specifically about some city initiatives, and without exception, they will be much easier to implement and to make a real impact with supportive state and federal policy. And barring support from the state and federal governments, it'll be very difficult to make these things happen. So the political environment matters a lot. So without further ado, I will just launch into a brief PowerPoint, and we're quite a ways from the beginning here. We can go back to it.
Too far away from the mic.
There we go.
All right. Okay, Now we're back at the beginning. So yes, here we are on Earth Day. All right. Can you hear now? All right, so sorry. All right, we can take the next slide. I'll be talking very specifically about Northfield's Climate Action Plan, because that really is the framework that the Environmental Quality Commission, which is the city body charged with advising the City Council on environmental matters, that's really the main focus of our work. And the city, in November of 2019, did, after a couple of years of work by the Climate Action Plan Advisory Board that Martha mentioned, did adopt a climate action plan with very aggressive goals, becoming fully carbon neutral by 2040, and by getting all of its electricity from carbon-free sources by 2030. And that seemed like it was coming up really fast in November of 2019, and it seems like it's coming up even faster right now. There are very many ways in which we need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we had very capable consulting assistance in that process with, by the Great Plains Institute, Minneapolis-based organization, and they had a number of strategies that they helped us refine that could realistically get us to carbon neutrality by 2040, with a little bit of help from, as I said, supportive state and federal policy and technology change in the next couple of decades. So the strategies for getting to carbon neutrality, there are a number of them in the mitigation area, and I'll talk about those in a little bit. And we also are just going to have to adapt as a community to a certain extent, because, as we all know very well, climate change is here. It's now. It's happening. And it's just a question of how dramatic and radical climate change is going to be in the coming decades. The work we do in this community and every other community in the country and around the world over the next couple of decades is going to really determine the kind of planet our children and grandchildren have to live in the balance of the century and going forward. So adaptation is a part of it, but I'm going to focus on mitigation, what we can do to keep climate change from, the worst effects of climate change from happening. Those strategies can very broadly be broken down into these areas. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on any of this because I only have 8 minutes, but if you're interested in any of these areas, get at me, get at Reese. You know, we can use every person in this room who's interested in any one of these areas. There are probably already groups in town, as you can tell from what the representation here tonight, that are working on these areas. So energy efficiency, building electrification, renewables, transportation mode shifting and electrification, zero waste, land use changes and changes in our food production and distribution system, water use reduction, carbon sequestration. It's all got to happen. There are no silver bullets. It's, you know, we've got to take an all of the above approach if we're going to achieve carbon neutrality in this community nationwide and worldwide by mid-century. Next slide. And those strategies, each one of them in the plan as it was developed, has various sub-strategies in these 4 different areas: education and engagement, policy and planning, innovation and demonstration, and in ways that the city can support the plan. Next slide. And you know, a lot of what's happened in the first 2 years or so since the Climate Action Plan has been developed has really been about building capacity. And it's not very glamorous, but it's exceedingly important work. And I'm happy to say that I really do think that the city has done a fair amount to build capacity in the last couple of years. As we just learned, we've got a new staff person, Reese Kareem, that a significant percentage of her time is directly dedicated to work with the Environmental Quality Commission and Climate Action Plan implementation. The city is actively researching and implementing changes to city operations internally so they can reduce greenhouse gas emissions and move towards carbon neutrality as soon as possible. The city has already adopted a new sustainable building policy, which will apply to larger building projects that make use of any form of city funding. The city is in the process of developing a zero waste policy, and a lot of people in this room have worked long and hard on that, and that's a very important piece of this. And there's a new carbon reduction fund, a dedicated source of funding, not a huge amount, but on the order of $120,000 a year that will go directly to supporting elements of the Climate Action Plan and to reducing carbon emissions and other greenhouse gas emissions. And part of that comes from the city's new franchise fee. And I don't know how many of you realize that each and every one of us who's an Excel customer in Northfield now pays a very modest franchise fee every month. And some of it goes to road projects, but a percentage of it goes to the carbon reduction fund. And so that will bring $100,000 a year to the carbon reduction fund. $20,000 will come from the general levy annually, and other grant and donated funds could make that fund more robust yet. So there will be details in the very near future about exactly what can be done with that carbon reduction fund. If you go to the next slide, we'll work through that. It's already being used to pay for some consulting work on developing a very specific clean energy transition plan for Northfield. That work is being done by a consulting and clean energy development group in Minneapolis, Nokomis Energy. They presented in March to the EQC. They'll be back with a final report to the city council in a couple of months. And I'll just very briefly go through the rest of this because I only have a minute left. These are just a couple of elements from the clean energy transition plan that were presented literally a couple of days ago. And the next slide shows a little bit about the distribution system in Northfield, which is just beginning to move away from the antiquated model of getting all of our power from central station power plants. We're starting to add solar and wind, EV charging. We're moving towards a future where we've got battery storage, we've got a lot of in-boundary renewables, and we've got community solar gardens and larger solar farms supplying all of our electricity in the not too distant future. Again, details on this will be coming out in the next few months, so stay tuned for that. Next slide. It'll also be used for tree planting and other elements. I've been given the stop, but I'll just wrap up here in another slide or two, I think. So yeah, you'll have an opportunity to get involved in tree planting. Next slide. And we're working on some other very exciting initiatives such as electric vehicle car sharing, and in the near future we'll be learning more about that. So good stuff happening. I won't take up any more time because I want to keep us on schedule, but know that, again, if you're interested in any of these areas, you can get involved. So talk to Reese Kareem at the city, check out the city's sustainability webpage. Hope to see some of you getting involved directly with the Climate Action Plan in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bruce. And I will say, when all of us that were on this committee that presented that plan in November of 2019, I don't think we knew that even half of this stuff would happen so quickly in 2 years. So please help us keep that momentum going by supporting those initiatives and simply staying informed on the city's sustainability website. Now we're going to have a guest appearance. We had Amelia Arnold from Northfield High School was prepared to give us a little view inside the youth movements happening in our city. She couldn't be here tonight, but Jonas has graciously agreed to read her speech to us on behalf of Amelia.
Hey, yeah, I'm Jonas, and I am about to be Amelia, so here I go. Hi, I'm Amelia Arnold, and I'm a senior at the high school. I am a co-leader and NHS Environmental Club at the NHS Environmental Club, and this is my second year helping to plan the annual Earth Day celebration. So getting into what the Environmental Club has done recently, earlier this year, Julia Tasava and I, along with a few club members, made and did a presentation breaking down Governor Walz's climate report card to members of the Northfield Cannon Falls League of Women Voters. We found that overall Walz is not doing what he should be for the pushing utilities to clean electricity, and on the low end receiving 2 Fs for funding clean transportation and stopping new fossil fuel infrastructure. Boy, ain't that the truth. Man, that's rough. Okay, Julia and I this last fall also led protests on Monday evenings, starting at Bridge Square and walking to Wells Fargo to protest Line 3 and Enbridge's funding of that pipeline. We also worked with NAL and the Sunrise Carlton to create action art, and that all got shipped up north. Everybody used that in the Line 3 protests, so that was super useful. Over the last year and a half, Lucy Menson has been working with Sheldall to revitalize an empty lot across the building, and they're hoping to plant a diverse selection of plants to set up a drainage system so that an ecosystem can start growing and developing in that space. It's taken a lot of planning because it's literally a gravel mini parking lot. But they're excited to see how that plays out. Savea Morel has been leading the Action Artwork subgroup, and that's been making like a lot of different sustainable art projects, as well as sending artwork up to the Line 3 front lines. That subgroup will be downtown tomorrow around Bridge Square, if it isn't raining. So if you're rolling through there, stop by and check out their table. Julia Tasava has been leading a subgroup focused on renewable energy and making energy use greener. That subgroup has met with the Northfield School Superintendent, Dr. Hillman, where they're talking about district uses in renewable energy, electric vehicle use, greener transportation, coming to and from the school. Lucy Menson has also been in charge of crafting the newsletter, in addition to the focus on Sheldall. Going forward, we hope to finish the year strong and finish the Sheldall project before the end of the summer. Both myself, Amelia, and Julia are graduating this spring, so we hope to appoint some younger faces to leadership positions. As for our subgroups, we hope to continue those into next year and work within the high school to grow the club. And if you want to learn more about the club, stop by the table tomorrow, or check out their newspaper. That's it for Amelia. Cool.
Thank you, Jonas. So Amelia was part of Team Lorax, the Earth Day Planning Committee, and it was inspiring to me to see how much energy is coming from the high school. Not just energy and activism, but actual projects and outcomes, and they're producing things, they're doing projects, so their ideas are really making a difference in Northfield. We're going to have one more set of panelists, and then I just want everyone to start thinking about the Q&A. What we're going to do after our last speakers is take 5 or 10 minutes to talk with your table, and part of this is to just generate questions for our Q&A, which will be any of the panelists that you've heard from tonight, and just kind of also take a moment to just talk with the community around you at your table about kind of where we go next with this climate action in Northfield. But for the moment, I will introduce our last speakers, which is actually a group of speakers, and they are known as the Northfield Against Line 3. These are activists that have spent a lot of dedication and time in resistance against the Line 3 pipeline, and they're here tonight to talk a little bit about their experience and their impressions from that fight. They are Andrea Burton, Helen Forsyth, Maya Stovall, and Jonas.
I'm going to kick it off again. Sorry for talking so much. Yeah, my name is Jonas. I would take my mask off, but I was eating this really good spread. Thank you so much for all that good food. and those napkins were too pretty to use, so it's all over my face. It's a mess. But yeah, hi Northfield. Thank you so much for inviting us. Do we have any police in the crowd tonight? Any law enforcement? Oh, good. Okay. Well, yeah, so I'm with Northfield Against Line 3. We fought a pipeline. Perhaps you heard of it. Yeah? All right, great. We also lost that fight. You might have heard that as well. Turns out the extractive industries got really deep pockets. Deep enough to hire out so many police departments across Minnesota, including our own Rice County Police. They were up there this summer at the Shell River, I believe. So that was, what? Pennington County? Yeah, that was really fun to see some familiar faces up there. Anyway, so while they were doing that, people were getting arrested trying to stop all these frack outs and OSHA violations and infringements on treaty law. But you all know that. We've been beating that drum for about 3 years. So where we're standing now, the pipeline is built and active. But the fight has entered a new phase. And this is one of like legal fallout for the over 700 individuals dealing with arrests that occurred as a result of protecting the water up north for us here in Minnesota and everybody south of the Mississippi, which is the Mississippi. So in an effort to raise legal funds, raise awareness, and demystify some of what it means to be a water protector or a land defender, these folks involved in the fight have written some of their accounts and experiences and put those into an anthology, and we'll be sampling from that and some of our own experiences. So enough of me. These are my friends.
Before we start, I just want to give a little land acknowledgement. Where we reside today is on the historical lands and current lands of the Wapakute and Midi-Wakanton bands of the Dakota Nation. Northfield and Carleton and St. Olaf's ability to exist on this land as we do today is because of forced removal and genocide of Native people in this area. So as we move forward, fighting for climate justice, we have to make sure that Native solidarity and sovereignty is a big part of that, right? It's not, we can't just acknowledge the land, we have to fight for it. So as we move forward with climate justice, we need to show up for our Indigenous relatives, we need to fight extractive industries, and we need to give the land back to Native people as well. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Andrea. I would give myself more of an introduction, but I think this crew has said everything that needs to be said. I spent about a year of my life in various up north sort of spaces fighting the Line 3 pipeline through direct action. And this is a story that I wrote for the Line 3 anthology, which Jonas referenced earlier, which is full of stories of people who spent their time fighting the pipeline. So this is sort of written to other water protectors, but there are a few in the audience, so that's for them. I'm gonna start. In the earliest months of 2021, I acquired 6 pairs of socks at no personal cost. Perhaps this is too subjective. Perhaps some would consider a winter in army tents heated by logs that were packed tightly into wood stoves and potatoes that chilled minutes after they left the cast iron as a great personal cost. But it never felt that way. That winter, tucked into sleeping bags that bore holes where we'd curled too near to the stove, it felt like the only option. Some socks came from the pole barn, from the shelves with the cardboard boxes that spilled over with packages of gloves and fleeces and hats. Others were donations to the Welcome Water Protector Center, where water protector myself, I grabbed socks from time to time on the basis of need. And I did need them. The toes supposedly pushing at the end of my sorrels felt like pebbles when the air dipped below zero, as it often did. And if I were to tell you about all these socks, I would tell you first about the 2 identical pairs of black bombas with black bees printed on the sides and a swath of gray honeycombs on the arches. Another pair is brown with an orange line circling the calves. They used to gather loosely at my ankles, but a year later, after 12 months of washing and drying and soaking them in sweat and mud and river water and blood and laying them across tent poles to dry on the days when the sun came out, they fit quite snugly. Then there are 3 pairs of gray wool socks, thick, each a different brand, that I had neither known nor needed to know 2 years prior. In fighting a pipeline, I learned a lot about tar sands and just as much about which brands of socks are suited to combat them. Maybe all of this description is unnecessary. Maybe you too spent the early months of 2021 in a tent or trailer or cabin scattered somewhere across northern Minnesota in the hopes of bringing a pipeline project to a shuddering, sputtering, world-saving halt, and you too have already seen these socks. Look down, perhaps you're wearing them right now. Perhaps you visit a friend you haven't seen in weeks or months or days or hours, and you say, "Oh look, we're wearing the same socks." And you each extend a leg, giggling and bumping ankles and remembering the time you slipped these socks onto frozen feet some morning when the sun had yet to rise, and then you stood on a pipeline easement until the cops chased you off of it. And I don't know if I can say that I miss the cold or the hand warmers like stones tucked in coat pockets and car seats, red and blue lights forever whirring in the rearview mirror, but I can say that I'll miss this. I'll miss the people who wear my same socks, and sometimes I'll miss the times we wore them.
Also, hi, I'm Maya. I go to Carleton. I'm part of Sunrise and Divest Carleton, along with the wonderfulest Northfield Against Line 3. So I am going to read a poem that a relative wrote anonymously for the Line 3 storytelling anthology. It goes, "To the river I go, avoiding black snakes and sticky sand. The water flows blue and red hands over red hands. Higher the hill climbs. An eagle soars above, gutted carcass left behind. Linked in arms, with peace alongside I descend. Swaths of trees prostrate, limbs outstretched, begging for currency. From below flows wealth, seeping, soaking, but none to hydrate. Muddy, frozen shoes trek onwards to a wall made of rubber, plastic, fear, and panic. Fight science with compliance. Say they don't know, but through their tint I see. Hide behind comment sections when in motion is in the ground beneath. I follow a trail of work boots to a clearing of journalists and prophets. Hands up, lest they shoot people over profits. Lines and rows and signs stretch for miles. The stars align, and for a while, through the bars of metal, the river glints at the end of a barrel. As the snow clears and tears melt, new fabrics are woven to greet the spring, to catch the river as she weeps life to another. School of curious eyes and wandering feet. I'm gonna hand it over to Helen for the full fundraising pitch in a second, but the rest of the Line 3 fight is in the courts right now, and that is very, very dear to me. I have a co-defendant going to trial this week. It is for a case where we were just trying to stand peacefully on the side of the road and exercise freedom of speech in support of the water, and a bunch of us were kettled and thrown in jail, and so my friend is going to trial, and my friend and especially our Native relatives really, really, really need financial support in the courts right now. This is very dear to me. This is very dear to the Northfield community and people, water protectors and land defenders and Indigenous folks all across the state and country. So if you have means, please, 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 for your community and for the land here, give it to support water protectors. Thanks.
was supposed to end us. I don't know what to say after my friends here. But yeah, to just really kind of hammer home that fundraising pitch, in order to take the kinds of actions that folks are talking about here, because of the priorities of our economic system and because of the priorities of the systems that we live under, it has huge legal repercussions, which then has huge financial repercussions. So we need to have these people's backs. We need to be supporting them in every way that we can. And right now that really means contributing to the Legal Defense Fund so that none of these folks are saddled with the costs of the protecting work that they have been doing. So please visit the table. You can give cash, you can give digitally, and it really is an important move at this time to support these folks and have each other's backs. Thanks.
Also, the shirts look pretty cool. We got some pretty top of the line apparel at the back too, so enjoy that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. As Mary Jo said, I'm Erica Zweifel, and last year I was the recipient of the traveling Northfield Earth Day flag. It was COVID and I had some time on my hands this winter, so I embroidered Northfield Earth Day on the edge of the flag and thought a lot about what we'd be doing when we got back together. So this is really awesome to be back together. Okay, I took a few notes on, oh, thank you. I took a few notes on our winner this year. This person, we really appreciate their collaborative approach to climate solutions. We appreciate the social justice lens that this person applies to climate adaptation and climate resiliency. This person has really forward thinking on climate, takes action, direct action, has really stepped forward on land use, climate, soil health, House Climate Action Caucus. Who am I talking about? Our very own Todd Lippert. Please come on down. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you so much. I'm just truly honored, and we'll be excited to find a home for this for a year and to pass it on to someone else. I don't know that I'll be adding any embroidery to it unless I pick up some new skills. But, you know, I've been thinking a lot lately about why climate has been a driver for me. It's at the heart of why I ran for office. It's partly because of my children. I have 3 children. I want them to have a livable planet. I hope to have grandchildren someday. I want them to have a livable planet too. And for me, it's also definitely about my faith. So in the Christian tradition, we're taught to be garden keepers, is how I talk about it. And that everything around us is a gift. And our proper response is appreciation and care. And the climate crisis is a sign to us that we're failing in that and failing to understand our proper place. And the climate work that we're all about is repairing and restoring work for the whole, not just for us as human beings, but for everything. And so this is a great honor for me. So thank you so much. And it's just an honor to be with you and to be a partner with all of you in this work. So thank you.
Thanks, Todd.